Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this council meeting, Fairfield County Council meeting, on this day, Monday, February the 9th, 2025. But before we get started, I'd like to take for us to take a moment of silence and pray for a staffer that passed on last week. Her name was Miss Brittany Goodwin, and she was the administrator assistant to Mr. Joey Price at 911. Let's just take a moment of silent prayer. Okay, thank you. Also, I noticed that we have one council person that's missing, Councilman Gatson. I'm not sure why he's not here. I was not made aware that he would not be here tonight. But at this time, we'd like to pledge allegiance to the flag. Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we will have an invocation. Approval of the agenda. May I get a motion?
So moved.
The motion is second that we approve the agenda. Any questions? Prepared to vote? All in favor? Let the record show 6-0. Now we have invocation from Councilman Gobart. Mr. Gobart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we first of all thank you for the many blessings you have given us, and for especially sparing us from the worst of the winter storms that recently passed through. We ask that you look after those who were impacted by those storms. We ask that you keep our citizens safe and healthy, and we thank you for the emergency services personnel who work so hard to keep us safe. And finally, Lord, please guide the 7 of us up here to follow the truth, to follow the facts, and to make the best decisions for all of the people of Fairfield County. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, sir. Now we have the approval of the minutes, regular meeting on January the 12th, 2026. May I get a motion? Second. May I get a second? Second. The motion is second that we approve the minutes. Are you prepared? Any questions? Prepared to vote? All in favor? Aye. Opposes? Let the record show 6-0. Now we're down to public presentation of conclusion recommendation of the Surplus Property Works Group. Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, Mr. Joseph Toledo will be coming up to present to you conclusions of a work group that we put together some months back. Fairfield County has, through the years, acquired large numbers of parcels of land, buildings, and there's not a sense that we need all of them. So staff's process of review was to go through each and every property and determine, did it serve a purpose? Could it serve a purpose? Was it acquired for a purpose? And then upon doing that, coming up with properties that did not fit anywhere from what staff could see. So tonight they will be presenting to council for information only what the results of that were. Council, upon receiving that, will have time to look through it, ask questions. Then at a future date, at a future meeting, we'll come back and start the process with council of determining what properties, if any, we should get rid of as surplus. That's a decision the county council has to make. Staff cannot make that. So the council would, working with us, identify the properties that they feel are surplus, that staff has recommended, or properties we didn't recommend. And then from there, we'd go forward with the process of getting rid of those properties that serve no purpose, and hopefully putting them in productive use on tax rolls and out of our responsibility for maintaining and caring for them. So again, Mr. Toledo and Mr. Vance will present.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Good evening, Council. As Mr. Carpenter mentioned, I'm Joseph Toledo, Director of Community Development, and I have here with me Lucas Vance, Director of Parks and Recreation. And we're here representing the Property Review Committee. And as Mr. Carpenter mentioned, this committee was established a couple months ago to identify the properties that the county owns that are identified as vacant as well as underused. So in total, we looked at about 70 to 80 properties that are county-owned. A lot of these properties are legacy properties, such as the building that we're in right now, our old administration building that the county has had for some time, as well as the courthouse. And a lot of these properties that have been identified, there is a total of 27 that are underused and vacant. A lot of the origins of these properties were established through the Fairfield Lands Commission, properties that were not sold, that went on the tax rolls and were never paid, and ended up coming back to us, to the county, after they were not purchased through the Fairfield Lands Commission. So the overall property review committee, what we're going to do is go ahead and identify these properties. As I mentioned, there's a total of 27. And the next phase that we're going to enter is to start looking at each individual property, peeling back the layers of the onion to really identify title search history, identify best use in case scenario, that we can go ahead and use these properties currently, either sell them, would it be best to revitalize them somehow, enter into, say, an agreement with a developer or something like that to get them on the tax rolls and actually have them giving something back to the county. As of right now, most of them are empty. So looking at a couple of those particular properties, in total there are 27 properties that have been identified as underused and vacant. Most of these consist of some empty lots. There are some buildings that are in decay that are on this list as well, one of which is the former administration building. Now, not all the properties on this list necessarily are going to be identified as, hey, we need to sell this or something like that, or put this on the tax rolls, but these are the properties that we're going to go ahead and do further research on to identify what can be done and what the highest best in case use scenario is for these properties. And in particular, Mr. Vance can touch on this. Our former administration building, that is on a larger piece of property that consists of about 9 acres. So one of the things that we can identify as is separating that and subdividing that to go ahead and break out that administration building separate from the facility that is currently on it, which is a Parks and Recreation facility. So looking at those properties in more detail, in total there are about, the district with the most properties is District 6, that's a total of 12 properties. And in terms of zoning, 9 properties have been identified within the town of Winsboro zoning. They have their own jurisdiction. That is the properties that we have the most of within the town limits. Outside of that, we do have a large number of industrial properties as well, which as part of this is also going to be identified with Ann Broadwater and our economic development to determine the highest and best use for those industrial properties as well. Any questions on the brief summary?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of council, next up we have a update on the wastewater treatment plant from Mr. Robert Lathrop, our project manager.
Good evening, council. Before you is the timeline of what's going on with our wastewater treatment plant, and these are keystone dates. So there's not much technical data here, but these are the keystone dates. So we did the 208 amendment water quality model update in August. Then we met with dischargers, and this was really done through our engineers in November. Let me turn the page here. And then on this next page was the ad hoc committee, which met in December 10th. And those were the items that were discussed in that meeting. We did a tour of plants, wastewater treatment plants with Mr. Carpenter and myself and Chris Clausen from the city. We went and looked at different plants. There were 2 in the upstate and 3 in the Midlands. I'm not getting anything here. The EPAC committee was held It must have skipped one. I'm sorry about that. The EPAC committee was held on January 23rd, and those were the things that were discussed in that meeting. I'm not sure one's going. Okay. So the date shown on this one, this is the technology review. That date has changed from the February 4th date until February 10th. The engineers weren't able to meet with us at that time, so that date got changed. And these are the, so at that time, which will be a phone call tomorrow afternoon, is to do technology review. And that is where we look at the different processes of how the wastewater is treated. And then we will discuss with them what we think is proper or desirable for our plans, and they'll tell us, they'll give us feedback. And so then we'll have more information for you after that meeting tomorrow. And then the questions, those dates that are on there are follow-up, and they just continue right through till, so the plan amendment to the COG is on February 27th. The EPAC meeting, which is an information only, which is where we provide only information about what we're asking from them, from the dischargers. And then on the EPAC vote will take place on April 15th. And then the COG vote will take place on April 23rd. At the very end there is the dashboard, and that dashboard is available on our website, for the county website. And if you look under the admin page, you can access that that dashboard. And it is being maintained, and it's showing the updates and the changes as they occur. Any questions?
Mr. Kobach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regarding the last slide, Robbie, the design, the 30% design is scheduled to be done by April 2nd, and it's not started yet. Can the design be started before we know what our discharge limits are?
So that goes back to our phone call on Tuesday, tomorrow, that I would say, and Mr. Carpenter, feel free to weigh in on this. So some design is already being done. We are narrowing down what it's going to look like. There is that, as far as picking the actual process and how that's to be implemented. That's the rest of the design, but yes, it's truly already under some design phase now, yes.
So it's not, the status then is not started, it's actually started to some extent.
Yes,
Design.
yes, absolutely.
And the short answer is yes, sir, it can be at 30% by that date, in part because of that, in part because the 30% is mostly your structural, and the process that we use won't really change the structure of the plan. It's just the mechanisms and things that are inside the plant. So the initial phase is something that is kind of cut and dried engineering of just concrete and land layout and things like that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I have a question.
Yes,
When this
ma'am.
is finished, how many millions, 4 million will be?
So at this point, we are designing for 4 million. That's the answer. At this point, we're designing for 4 million.
How many years will it take us to need 4 million?
That will depend on a number of things, and particularly would be the industrial development and how much that component feeds that.
But it could be 10 years down the road?
Or it could be
Yep.
5 years, it could be 25 years. I mean, that's, the reality of that answer is we don't know how long it's going to take. So in designing a plan, it doesn't mean we're going to build it for 4 million. We design for 4 million, but we may only build for 2 million. At the end of the day, we've only got so much money. So we're going to have to build what we can afford to build, first of all. So, but we're permitting for 4 million, and we're going to design for 4 million because that's what the plan has been. But the initial phase one may be just 2 million. And then we would see as the growth goes when do we do the next 2 million? But it could be many years down the road. None of us may be in office when we need that next phase. Or it could be tomorrow if we get a big industrial user that comes in and needs wastewater. You know, that tends to ultimately control these issues. So I don't see that we would build a 4 million gallon a day plant, but we would design for one.
That does raise another question for me, as far as the cost. Now, I'm sure we don't have a final cost estimate, but I'm sure the engineering company has an idea of what, you know, a 4 million or a 2 million gallon per day plant would cost of various technologies depending on discharge limits. But I suspect very strongly we don't have enough money from the Dominion settlement and still in our bank account to cover whatever it will cost. Do we have any idea what that gap is between what we have and what it might cost?
At this point, Mr. Goldbach, the answer is no, for a couple reasons. Again, 2 million versus 4 million gallons of what we build. That'll be a significant impact on it. Also, the actual course that the pipeline has to follow to get to the plant will determine, because a significant part of the cost will be putting pipe in the ground, not building a plant. So we probably have enough money in the bank to build the plant, but we've also got to get effluent from point A to point B, and so we've already started the process of securing and seeking the rest of the funds. So we've had a number of conversations from members of Congress, from people in Columbia, the federal government, for various programs that are out there. So we are well underway with what we need to do to make sure that the money is secured and committed to. But right now we have more than enough money to get all this part done and quite possibly to build, you know, a 2 million gallon a day plant as well. But then it gets into the process we use. Some processes are more expensive than others, and that'll kind of be dictated as well by what we can afford. Yes.
Yeah.
What if there are people between point A and point B that don't want you to go over their land?
Well, at the end of the day, if a route is determined is the best route, then we will work diligently with all property owners to come to an agreement with them, paying them if necessary. Ideally, we like people to allow us to run the pipe through right of way. But at the end of the day, if an agreement cannot be reached, then we probably have to look at condemnation. And then that judge gets involved with that, and they determine what the fair market value is, and that's allowed to happen under that. That's the last thing we want to do, but in order to build this, that may be necessary in some cases.
Yeah, and we are doing everything possible to work with the individuals who have contacted us, and we are, we're doing everything possible to work with them.
How far off the road is this line? Is it like really close to the road, or?
So what's called the linear conveyance, which is the force main that will go from 321 all the way over to Rich Tex, is approximately a 13-mile route. And the vast majority of that has SCDOT right-of-way. So it will be within the right-of-way of the road, but as you approach and get closer to Broad River, especially along Browns Bridge Road and into the Rich Tex area, there's some of that does not have right-of-way. And so those are the areas that we need to gain permission. And we are working with our legal team and with the engineers, and we hope to have a right-of-way agent help us do this so that we can work and make people feel like they want to give us permission. We, as Mr. Carpenter said, we don't want to condemn. That's not our goal, but to work and to gain the permission from the individual owners.
So it'll be, you have the right of way, what, 33 and a third feet from the middle of the road over?
Yes,
And
yeah,
it would-
on part of it, on Browns Bridge.
Well, I mean, where you have it, so those people can't stop you from doing it.
If condemnation takes place, no, they cannot stop us, but we do not want to do that. We're going to work to gain permission. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before we go to the next item, I want to apologize to Ms. Douglas, who is standing in for Mr. Morgan tonight. This is Ms. Sydney Douglas with the same firm as Tommy. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us tonight. Now we're down to public comments. Dr. Roberts, we have anybody sign?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair and members of council. Liz Bankhead.
Good evening. I'm Liz Bankhead, and I vote for Ms. Peggy in District 3. Tonight I have a story for you, a little girl and her dog. Growing up, little girl was part of a large family in the county's rural areas. Neighbors were few and far between. The family was hardworking and loving. Little girl was the youngest, and the rest of the brothers and sisters were busy with their jobs and school. She was at home with her mom. Her dad, like many others in the county, worked hard in the mill and any side jobs he could do to provide for his family of 7. Money was always an issue. There was the juggle of paying the light bill or fixing the car. Dad was able to buy shoes once a year at the mill store. They would last the school year, and then it was barefoot summers. Hand-me-downs or new clothes. One day, Uncle Otha brought a dog named Pee-wee to the house. He was about 4 years old when he came to live with little girl. Pee-wee had been deemed an aggressive dog because he tried to bite the mailman. It was later found out that the mailman was Masoning. That day, a love story began. Pee-wee attached himself to little girl. Wherever she was, he was. Pee-wee ran beside her bike as she rode down the road. He frolicked in the creek with little girl. He was the best friend to a lonely girl. He was also her protector. One day, a strange man drove up into the yard. Little girl and Pee-wee were in the garden. The man started walking towards little girl. Pee-wee stood between little girl and the man, and then he growled. The man ran back to his car and left. Who knows what would have happened if Pee-wee had not been there? While the family didn't have much money, love always filled the home. So money for dog food was not available. But Mom would cook extra grits and pour bacon grease on them for Pee-wee to eat. Many meals at home during the week were beans and cornbread. All the scraps would go to Pee-wee. The week after Easter was one of Pee-wee's favorite. After the ham-bone had seasoned the pinto beans on Monday night, he got the bone as a treat. He literally ate as well as his family. Pee-wee didn't have a doghouse or fenced-in yard. The family would put hay in the crawl space under the house for him to sleep. There he was warm and dry. A bucket was always filled with water. And again, he ate as well as his family. The dog was well-loved, fed, water, had a dry, warm place to sleep. He had a good life. He loved to dig a hole under the mom's blue hydrangea bush and sleep. And that was where the little good girl found him when he slept his way into this next life at the age of 16. By now, I hope you've figured out that this story is true, and it's about me and my dog. Instead of looking at ways to place barriers and punish taxpayers of this county, education be at the forefront of the regulations set forth. All I hear about is punishing people. If we placed the new ordinance down on my family, then we would be locked up for animal cruelty. Many of you know me. Was I cruel to Pee-wee? Did he lack his basic needs? I hope that one day you hear a child begging for a pet and the mom says, no, we can't afford it. That you remember your changes are denying a child a lifetime of memories and a loving family, and y'all made it a crime to be poor.
Brad Hoffman.
Brad Hoffman, District 3. Thank you, Peggy. I just want to know, does any of you remember 2019, a nice summer warm day when we cut the ribbon on that farmer's market and you guys promised that that thing would stay in as long as we possibly could hold it? Do you remember that, Doug? You remember that day? Your name's on the plaque. You were in the picture. So why are we talking about tearing a perfectly good building down that if you could have put a roof on 5 years ago would be perfectly good shape. And it could have just been for the farmers, for the farmers market. The farmers market could have went 3, 4 days, 5 days a week. And the people in this county that grow the vegetables, that supply that, could have kept it full. So somebody is taking it over now. I know the lady quite well. She's an angel. She's doing her best. I was happy to be involved when we got senior vouchers. So the poor people of this county could come and get fruits and vegetables for no money out of their pocket and support local farms. I mean, I don't know. Let's talk about agritourism. You guys canceled Ag and Art again. Why can we not get Ag and Art back together? You know, we were the second longest running in Ag and Art, and you canceled it for the second year in a row. Counties are calling me and inviting me to come to their farm and talk about Ag and Art and show my wares and sell my food, my meat, in different counties. Why can't we do that in Fairfield County? I just don't understand. Are you trying to kill the farmers? Are you trying to get us all gone and just have pine trees throughout the county? And that's another agribusiness that's going down the tank in a hurry. There's no pulpwood factories anywhere close by. And if you got 100, 200, 300 acres of pine trees that need to be thinned, good luck getting rid of it. You might as well go ahead and doze it down and just throw it away. You're going to start seeing big tracts of land, as on Buckhead Road, 4 tracts of land up for sale in the past 3 weeks. 2 are sold, and we're going to see what goes on. I bet you subdivision's going to be on one of them sooner or later, and we do not need that on Buckhead Road. We do not need that on the west side of our county. We are farmers. We're here. We're trying to make a living. This is my wife and myself. Retirement plan is to do what we do, what we've been doing for the past 12 years out here since we moved out of Richland County, to come up here and start a bigger and better farm and supply the folks in this county and all counties around. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks, Doug.
Curtis Simpson.
Good evening. Thank you for your time, giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I came in with representation for my son, George. He bought some property on Welland Road in Ridgeway. And Welland Road, it comes into a pavement ends, but he's got 3.5 acres and he's gonna do a detail shop. And with all of that mud when it rains, I mean, it is a mess. And I don't think it would be fair for him to have to spend his money to pave a road that has got 2 other houses that's already there. So he would be the 3rd house. And I didn't get to see you, Mr. Carter. I came to your office, but I talked to your secretary, and I sent you an email, and I pulled up all of the councilman's email address, cell phone numbers online. So I sent everybody a message as well, and Mr. Bell replied, Mr. Dan Roof, Mr. Gilbert, and Mr. Gatson, and I didn't hear from the other ones, but what I want to know is, I know some was calling it a common drive, but I went by Public Works as I was requested by your secretary, and I went by Public Works, didn't get to talk to Mr. Robinson, but I sent him an email as well. And he sent me a reply back on January the 23rd, and he said that he went out to that road and checked it out, and it is a state road. So I don't know how they calling it a common drive if he's over Public Works and he called it a state road. And so, I wanted to know what do we need to do to get this done, to get this road fixed, even if they don't pave it, even if they gravel it or something, because he's going to do a detail business, and it's going to profit everybody in this county. He's in Richland County now, but he's moving in. He's already got the building built. He spent over $11,000 for a well, and he's going to spend money for the septic tank. And I don't think it would be right for him to have to spend money for a pavement. And it's going to benefit everybody in the county because people want their cars to look good, and he's certified in ceramic coating and all of that, so he's going to help keep the county looking good and help keep the county cars clean. And so my prayer is that y'all have compassion and go through the process and maybe vote on it, and even if it was passed years ago, but that they would amend it and take care of that spot on Weldon Road. He'll be at the end. It's got 3.5 acres. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Adele Pauling.
Good evening. My name is Adele Paulin. I am one of the 2012 original farmers market vendors. My request is to consider the convenience of the location of the farmers and artisans market. Customers ride their bikes. Seniors drive up to the curve to have vegetables delivered to them. They come using canes, walkers, and wagons. Many use senior market vouchers. You are a servant-based organization. You are. Use your power to serve those in need and keep the farmers and artisans market where it is. Oh, in case you didn't know, our farmers and artisans market is the 3rd best in the state. Woohoo! Thank you. Thank you, James.
Randy Bright.
Excuse me. Randy Bright, Ridgeway, District 1. Research reveals that there's a great opportunity with the penny sales tax. In researching South Carolina's results, almost all counties that instituted a penny sales tax came out ahead, way ahead with this institution. There were a couple exceptions. One was Richland County. They hit a lot of bumps, got a bad audit, etc., but they're on the right track now. Also, Williamsburg hit a massive bump in the road, and their financial accounting was, again, its Achilles heel. That is a concern of mine for Fairfield also. If we're going to take advantage of this penny tax, we have to have accurate, prompt, and on-time, in-time financial reporting. Currently, we are 3 months behind in updating our financial month ends, budget organization reports. That can't happen with a penny sales tax. We got to know where we stand at all times with the money, both as in general and also with the penny tax money. We got to be able to measure progress. We can't measure progress if we don't know where we stand financially. So the best advice that was given to the county from one of the advisors at the first meeting with the Sumter Group was, you got to have trust. You got to build trust. So which trust are we going to have put our faith in? The county that finally got an audit done on time after a decade of missing it? Or the county that's now 3 months behind in updating its financial reporting for the public? Which county are we going to trust? The one that had so many meetings that there was almost nothing of worth on the agenda, or the county that's of tonight, where there's many positive things that leads us in the right direction? Which county are we going to trust? And it's all on your plate. If we can trust the results, if we can trust the execution, but how can we trust a county council that had 5 committee formations and none of them was done right? And we're still paying the price of that. Or can we get a county that decided to reverse their bad decisions and not be discriminatory in forming standing committee in the future? Which county are we going to get? That's going to be the deciding vote come November for the referendum of the penny tax. So you got nearly a year. Looking forward to the improvements. Thank you.
No one else signed up to speak, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Now we down to item 9, the ordinance, resolution, and orders. Third and final reading of ordinance number 852. Dr. Roberts, if you would.
An ordinance to consider the request to amend the Fairfield County Land Management Ordinance Number 599 and the related zoning map to provide for the rezoning classification from I-1 Industrial District to B2 General Business District to allow for a gas station with an accessory convenience store use. Tax map number 145-02-02-014-000, located at 1713 State Highway 321, Winsboro, South Carolina, 29180, owned by NIG LLC. Note, the Fairfield County Planning Commission approved this rezone request.
You've heard the reading of the third item, so can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any questions? Prepared to vote. All in favor? Opposes? Let the record show 6-0. Resolution number 2026-01. Dr. Roberts.
A resolution by Fairfield County Council approving and authorizing the creation of a commission pursuant to South Carolina Code 4-10-0300 to consider proposals and to carry out all necessary acts and matters relating thereto as may required under South Carolina law for funding capital projects within Fairfield County.
Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
The motion is second. Mr. Carpenter, would you give us some information?
Mr. Chairman, members of council, this is the resolution that would begin a process for a capital project sales tax referendum in November. This is the first step. It is a resolution that would authorize the creation of a commission within the next 30 days. That commission would result in 3 members being appointed by this board, 2 members appointed by Winsboro, and those 2 appointing a third, a total of 6 people. That's all statutory by state law on how it's governed. We don't control that. State tells us that. The commission would then review projects presented to them. The commission would determine the projects that they wish to put on a ballot. That would then come back to this county council for approval up or down. This council would not have the ability to modify it. You could either accept it or reject it. So we can't add, we can't delete, we can't move the priority that they set for that. So we would have the language to the referendum finished in May so that it could get out to the public, and then November 7th or 9th, whenever the actual general election is scheduled to be held, that ballot would be in front of the citizens at that point.
Council, you have any questions? Prepared to vote? All in favor? Opposes? That record shows 6-0. Board and commission minutes, behavioral health services, and the dates are 6/16/25, 7/21/25, 8/18/25, 9/29/25, and 10/20/25. Board and commission appointments, disability and special service needs, Mr. Darrell Davis. Can I get a motion? The motion is second that we accept Mr. Darrell Davis to the board. Any questions? You prepared to vote? All in favor? Let the record shows 6-0. Old business, none. New business, procurement manual policy revision. Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, you have in front of you tonight an item that would modify one part of the county's procurement code, specifically a section that would relate only to public safety departments in acquiring various pieces of gear and uniform. Currently, the way the procurement policy is written, every item that they would purchase in those categories would still have to go through getting sealed bids, getting quotes, that can slow down a process. Normally, that's okay, because these are things normally that 30, 60, 90 days doesn't really change outcomes. But in this particular category, that includes things like turnout gear for firemen, bulletproof vests for law enforcement, a variety of items that they sometimes need right away. And we don't have the luxury, and unfortunately, they've had to go through that. So they have requested that we modify to allow them in those circumstances to be able to acquire items that way. So it modifies the code to allow them in those circumstances. This would not be used to buy jackets or polo shirts, but rather items that they need.
Do we need to vote on it?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Carpenter, I think that's a really good thing to do, eliminate some of the paperwork and, bureaucracy for the emergency services folks. I just have one question. It says the exemption shall include but not limited to the goods and services listed below, and it says emergency vehicle purchase and repairs necessary to maintain operational readiness. Certainly understand the repairs, but actual purchasing of a vehicle, is that something that should fall into this category? Since we have another plan already enacted to, over time replace the vehicles.
Mr. Goldbach,
And I apologize, I meant to ask you this earlier today to give you
that's
time
fine.
to think about it. So.
I'm going to answer that two ways. First, I can't envision that we would ever just go and quietly buy a vehicle that would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars without going through a process for that. But sometimes circumstances are also as such that we might need to replace something quickly, and we're able to get something quickly. So sometimes we're able to find out that an item is available. I would be more than happy to assure you that anything that required purchasing a vehicle would still go in front of the county council, because it's not my intention or staff's intention ever to acquire a vehicle like that. But back to your point of repairs, that has become a critical issue where trying to get quotes on multiple repairs, in some places only one shop will do it. But the code is you've got to get 3 quotes. And so they have struggled to find 3 quotes on occasions when they need a vehicle fixed quickly. So
I appreciate that. I'm happy to leave it as is.
Can I entertain a motion? Okay, motion is second. Any question? All in favor? Opposed? Let the record show 6-0. Now we're down to county administrative report. Mr. Carpenter.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, first item is really a neat opportunity for us to recognize 2 of our citizens who have brought pride and honor to this county. Basically, that on January 8th, Fairfield County's first responders, as you know, they train for moments they hope will never come. But on that date, actually on New Year's Eve, December 31st, the Fairfield County Rescue Squad was dispatched what was reported as a possible stroke. Squad members Megan Brown and Tavares Brown arrived on scene, then quickly realized the situation was even more critical. The patient was in cardiac arrest. Without pause, Megan and Tavares moved into action. They drew on their meticulous training, steady teamwork, and unwavering focus, and they delivered the life-saving care. They revived, and they stabilized the patient until EMS arrived. In those critical minutes, their skill and confidence made all the difference. And because of their immediate and decisive actions, a life was saved. And in recognition of this extraordinary effort, Fairfield County EMS has already proudly presented Megan and Tavares, a husband and wife team, if you weren't aware, with an appreciation award for their heroism and dedication. And their response exemplifies the very best of public service, preparedness, and courage. Tonight, we would like the council to recognize them, and also, Mr. Chairman, we have a presentation from our Congressman Ralph Norman and his staff that he has asked that we present as well to the Browns. So if the Browns can come up tonight.
Let's give them an applause, please.
The next item, Mr. Chairman, members of the council, is just an update to you. As you know, with the weather that we had in the last several weeks, a number of meetings had to be canceled, rescheduled. We have one final rescheduling, which was the strategic plan meeting to be held at the Monticello Community Center in Jenkinsville on February the 19th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. Encourage all members of the community. You can live in any part of the county to come out. You don't have to just live in that area to come and participate. But again, that will be February the 19th, 2026 at the Monticello Community Center from 5:30 to 7. Also, Mr. Chairman, members of council, just wanted to give you a quick update on the outcomes of those winter storms as well. As you know, we were very concerned, especially the first one, the ice storm that was approaching. 3 days before, we were being told with great assurance that this was going to be, the word they used was crippling. And it was going to be a crippling storm with up to an inch of ice. And I don't need to tell anyone what that would do to a county such as ours if that hit. So we prepared for it. We took the necessary actions. Fortunately, the prayers in Fairfield County were stronger than others, and it did not develop the way they had feared it would. And we ended up with a very light coating of ice and some sleet. It was a situation that was far better than it could have been. The impact on our public safety was minimal. We had very few incidents. We had some call-outs, but nothing of great significance. So we dodged a major bullet with that one. Of course, immediately thereafter, another storm came in with snow, and this was, again, at one point, they viewed it as potentially historic snow, and in some places it was. But in Fairfield County, we averaged about 5 inches of snow that came down all day that Saturday into Saturday night. Sunday was bitterly cold. Temperatures never really got above freezing the whole day, lows in some cases in single digits. And the result of that is the sun came up. Of course, sun will still melt the snow, even cold temperatures, but they freeze on the roads. So by the time Monday came around, the concern was going to be black ice, which was a very real concern, especially those of us who might not live on major highways, but off secondary roads that are heavily sheltered and shaded. We had some roads that were really impassable through Wednesday of last week before they finally melted enough. We had more calls coming in that week. Again, fortunately, though, no significant impact on our public safety ability to provide services. Schools were affected, and a lot of times people will question, well, why did you do this? School buses are really the driving issue for schools. They've got to move a bus that's, several tons full of kids down roads, and they can't take the risk and the chances of a bus going and losing control. And so school bus is one of the biggest issues. When you're an employer, a lot of your employees have kids in school. So if the kids are not in school, then we have to be cognizant of that as well. So we will normally take what the schools are doing into great consideration when we determine what we're opening and what we're closing as well. So we look at the impact on roads. Can our citizens get out? Can they safely get out to drive, especially to night meetings? The sun still sets around 6 o'clock, and black ice would be something that would be an opportunity for people to unfortunately get into bad situations. So we dodged 2 bullets when all was said and done. Some people got some fun snow. I saw snowmen around the town. Fortunately, though, the impact on our services was minimal. So I just wanted to give you that update. Then, moving on from there, we've got an economic development update. I asked Ms. Broadwater to just brief the council. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologize for that. Yes. So we had a meeting at the courthouse last week to look at a situation that we're aware of in the record storage. And it was brought to our attention the concern about the ability of some work that had been done there to allow us to safely and securely store our records there. So staff went out there and met with the citizen as well as Office of the Clerk of Court to review it and to see what we can do. So what we're going to be doing is that we're first of all checking into what the state requires, so the state codes, regulations, and laws. And then we're looking at what a solution could we do in a timely fashion to ensure that our records are safe and they're protected. So we will be getting quotes on that to see what is possible. We have a proposed solution of being able to erect a security door internally that would allow us to safely keep those records secure. That'll all be dependent on, again, what is feasible from an engineering standpoint and then the cost of that. So I will keep council informed of that, but we've taken this concern very seriously and staff is addressing it. Are there any questions on that one? Okay. Then moving on to the economic development update. Again, Ms. Ann Broadwater, have asked her to come and just kind of brief council on a variety of the stories that are going on right now in economic development, and then there will be an action item related to our Peach Road industrial site, our new one, that I would ask council to approve. So, Ms. Broadwater.
Good evening, everyone. Happy to provide this update. Glad we made it through a wonderful year. Try and keep it brief. Going over some of the project data, we took a look at, for the year of 2025, how many requests for information we received, those that we responded to with answers, those that we could not answer, the number of projects that we won, and projects that visited the county, and then the projects that we're still considering Fairfield County. Looking at those metrics, we won 3 projects in 2025, and the first being Luckstone, $90 million in capital investment, Fayette Group, 13.7 and 75 jobs, and Mega Metal, 34 million and 135 jobs. They're currently, Fayette's already completed their building, and Mega Metal is in the process of installing equipment on their site in Fairfield Commerce Center. So we track some of the reasons that we cannot submit on a project. Some of them had to do with the amount of acreage available, whether or not there was existing building that met the parameters, wastewater, water, and/or rail. And as you can see during the site selection process, we had over 51% that we couldn't submit on because we no longer have a speculative building. Existing industry was very important. We visited with 12 companies over the year. We conducted 3 roundtables, and we had 2 companies that expanded. We had our annual existing industry appreciation dinner, which you saw. The theme was altitude and attitude. Fairfield's ascent has no ceiling. We had it at the Fairfield Airport. This year we did an oyster roast, which turned out to be a big hit. It allowed for more networking amongst the folks that were there. And we had about 75 folks show up. Some of you may be aware of this, but in 2024, we got a site enhancement grant from the South Carolina Department of Commerce to construct an entrance road to the East Peach Road industrial site. We've got work currently underway with Thomas & Hutton, and they're expecting to be completed by June of this year. We're naming the entrance to the road Bonnie Parkway, and we want to thank Bonnie Ammons at the Rural Infrastructure Authority for helping us secure the grant to secure the interconnector solution for our wastewater problem. Fairfield County Economic Development took part in a very competitive grant process that was statewide, Rural Infrastructure Initiative. $80 million was available to all of the counties, and we were a winner, and we received a grant of over $2 million to purchase the additional land that's at master plan for that industrial park. I've got 350.36. It should actually be 362.96 because there was some right-of-way that wasn't calculated in the developable land that we're planning to purchase. In addition to the grant that we got from the state, we've got $450,000 in utility tax credit funds from Fairfield Electric Co-op that's going to allow us to purchase this property. And this park is vital because it's the only site, industrial site in the county that's in co-op territory. And it's also where the regional pump station for the interconnector wastewater project is located. Here's what it looks like. As I mentioned, you can see where the red dot is, where the wastewater pump station is currently being built. And Bonnie Parkway will be the entrance that they're working on. All right, so updates, there are changes to the Fayette facility. Since they announced in June, did the groundbreaking, they've already got the building up, as you can see, and they've moved in equipment, and that was a record-breaking activity. Partly because the county invested in the preparation of the land by having a pad-ready site available. Initially, Fayette wanted our speculative building, but they quickly figured out that it was built for a manufacturer and it would be better for them to build it from the ground up since we had that pad right there next to them. It really made a lot of sense. As soon as they got off of that property, that allowed us to push it for Mega Metal. Just a few miscellaneous things. We've been able to do some upgrades to our audio-visual equipment. We had some really nice stuff that wasn't working. My great guy, Devarius, figured out how to get it working, so now we've got that. We participated in the Element Electronics community service event. They're going to start doing those. They had the first one called Element Cares, and it was a wonderful thing. Devarius received a scholarship from the South Carolina Economic Developers Association to take the basic course with the International Economic Development Council to begin working on his international certification. Unfortunately, he had planned to fly to Arizona the week that all the weather did what it was going to do, and there wasn't anything going. So he had to stay here instead of being in 70 degrees out in Phoenix. So, I had to feel sorry for him. The SCIDA grant expired, so we had to ask if they would extend it to allow him to participate, and they've given us that extension, so he'll be able to continue to take advantage of that. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Ms. Broadwater. So members of council, the great news in that story was the grant we received from the state of South Carolina. Again, $2.1 million, which will allow us to purchase the remaining acres in this master plan park. As you know, we're about out of land already with our existing industrial park. So this would allow us to buy the necessary 350 acres of land for the rest of it. So when all is said and done, we'll have approximately 449 acres of land. It's been master planned. We started the entryway already on the land we already owned. As Broadwater did mention that as things were developed through the years, the right-of-ways within the property were never actually included in the land itself. So we were operating on some land totals that did not include about 12 acres of road right-of-way and things like that. So when it came time to kind of start settling up, the realization was those 12 acres they were not willing to give to us. They wanted us to buy those as well. So that's an additional $92,610. The good news is that economic development has almost $400,000 in the economic development fund that's available to the county. So we seek the approval of council to use $92,610 from the economic development funds, which can only be spent for economic development projects, in order to allow us to match the $2.1 million and buy the 350 acres that is available to us to purchase. So I ask the council to approve that tonight so we can proceed with that.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to
Okay, been motion and second that we use the $92,000. Any questions? Prepared to vote? All in favor? Let the record show 6-0. Thank you, sir.
And then one last item, Mr. Chairman, just, have been requested by several people to just clarify something out there for our citizens to be aware of. With the passing of the animal ordinance out there, there was some confusion about the county's ability to go in and enforce laws against farm animals. And I just want to assure council and our citizens that no county in South Carolina has the ability legally to pass a law that supersedes state law. State law always takes priority regardless of what a county ordinance may say. So in the case of farm animals and fowl, we are, regardless of what may be interpreted from a county ordinance, specifically units of local government may not enact ordinances, orders, or other regulations concerning the care and handling of livestock and poultry. So I just want to encourage people to understand that the county has no ability to come in and regulate livestock, fowl, farm operations, no intention of doing it. We've got other things to be focused on, and as we've heard, our farmers are critical to this county, so the county does not want to be getting in the way of that. So I just wanted to share that and make sure people understand that no aspect of that would allow us to come in and get involved in farming operations.
There was something else that you were going to address that we had discussed earlier about some information that was incorrect.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I mentioned it as part of the economic development. Also, there apparently is some conversations going on in the community about data centers, and just want to assure our council and our citizens that at this point there are no data centers that staff is involved in, though we can't stop any prospect or project from looking at our county. No projects have come to a point where they're involved with staff or with myself. I'm aware of none right now. Furthermore, it's a situation that Columbia is looking to totally modify and change state laws and regulations that concern that. So the odds of a data center coming anytime soon are fairly slim at this point. But I just wanted to, some people have said that the county is covering up or is working with data centers, that this new Peach Road industrial site is being developed for the purpose of data centers. I can address that. There's not enough water there. There couldn't be enough water there. There's no plans to get water there. There's not enough power there. There couldn't be enough power there. And there's not enough, and there are no plans to get power there. And those are the two most critical things you need in a data center, water and power. So I just want to assure people that, to my knowledge, there are no plans out there. There's no data center that is involved with us to any level or degree that would rise to a concern.
Thank you, sir, for that. Now we're down to Clerk of Council report. Dr. Roberts.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, and members of council. For whatever reason, at the last council meeting, you all were not able to see the proposed calendar for this year's council meetings. I did provide hard copies to each of you, so hopefully you've had the opportunity to review. And if you have no questions, no additions or deletions, then I am asking for approval.
It's been motioned and second. Any question? Prepared to vote. All in favor? Opposes? Let the record show 6-0. Now we're down to council time. Any council person? Mr. Rube.
Yeah, a couple of things. Well, the Browns are left, but I want to thank them for their life-saving efforts. That was incredible. And also, we talked about this at our last meeting, I think, that the recycle center employees did not get the stipend, $250 stipend, but I asked him tonight, and that's in the process, so they will be receiving that shortly. And as far as the farmers market, I've always been a strong supporter of the farmers and farmers market here and everywhere, and I was before, and I will continue to support that. And I really hope that we can do something way more than we're doing to support the farmers market and make that active, because it's a great thing. It's a benefit to everybody. It's a tourism draw. It's just great. I can't find there's nothing negative that I could see. So I see no reason why we don't fully support the farmers market. And also the other thing was was brought up, Weldon Road, common drives. That's an issue that we voted. I didn't vote for it, but it was voted on to stop the maintenance of common drives. And that came up because it was apparently illegal to perform services on private property, which they're jointly, but to me, we in this county, there are so many, there's a lot of people can't afford to maintain a road. And then when my thought is that we run into situations where people can't maintain the road, but the emergency services can't get to them. Somebody could die because the ambulance can't get in there. And so then are we liable because we're not providing what we've provided for 50 years? I don't know how many years, but a long time. Those services to those people where there are multiple houses is not one. And so it's just, I don't know that it's happened, but it very likely could happen where the fire truck or an emergency ambulance couldn't get to a home to keep somebody's life alive. And so I think that's something maybe we need to revisit. So I don't know. I'll leave that up to y'all to look at, but that's my take on that. But thank you.
Anyone else? Let's go up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo what Mr. Roof said about the farmers market. We recently toured that building, and to me, it's a beautiful building. Could have a great future. I know it needs some work, but I guess a question for the property committee or Mr. Carpenter regarding that building. There's a list of 27 vacant buildings. Is that one of the 27?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. And there has been my understanding is there's been no decision on any of those 27, including the farmers market, as to what's even being recommended at this point, correct?
That would be a decision this county council would make.
Right, okay, thank you. Just a word about the capital project sales tax. We already have a local option sales tax that we pay. It's 1%. And if you look at your property tax notices for your house, for your vehicles, even if you have a boat or a motor, I mean, there's a credit in there that comes from that local option sales tax. And I looked at that. I didn't really appreciate that, but I added up all of that sales credit I get multiplied by 100, because that's what I would have to spend in the county to get that kind of benefit. And I don't spend nearly that much in this county. So a lot of that money comes from outside, people from outside the county. The same thing would apply to the capital project sales tax. It would be a totally separate tax, accounted for separately, and used, if it was voted in by the citizens, used specifically for specific capital projects that have to be listed on the referendum come November. So I am a supporter of that, because that's a way for people that live outside this county to help fund things that we need in this county. So I think that's, a very good tool. Just one more thing. Probably a month ago, I was invited by Mr. Gatson and others to meet with some of the Fairfield High School Alumni Association. And, I'm not a lifetime resident here, and I don't know all the history, but I was really impressed after we had a tour of the gymnasium, which was the subject of that meeting, to see what we could possibly do with that building. They gave us a tour of the high school building itself. And I was thoroughly impressed with the state that that building was in, was kept up, was refurbished by the Alumni Association. They had redone all the hardwood floors. And the coolest thing to me was every room, every classroom was dedicated to a certain year that graduated in 1963. They even went back to the 40s. And they had a picture of the photo of the classmates from each class. And it was just really cool. And I really just want to I guess congratulate the Alumni Association for maintaining that history in such a great way. I thought it was really impressive. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Okay. Now we're down to executive session. There is no executive session. Can I get a motion? Motion is second that we adjourn. Any questions? Prepared to vote? All in favor? This meeting is now adjourned.